We are so excited to be launching our first episode of The Real People of the Sunshine Coast. If you caught our video yesterday, Jen and I explained to you our passion project of listening to amazing stories of people who are doing business on the Sunshine Coast. And today we've got a surprise guest for you who Jen will be talking to today. But in the meantime, we would love your comments, questions and shares as well to help us spread this little project of ours. So what I'm going to do is hand you over to Jen. She's going to be chatting to Dirk Long today from Evans and Long, and we are at the Mooloolaba wharf and outside the dock bar where we might have a cocktail later. All right, I'll hand you over to Jen.
Thanks so much and welcome, Dirk.
Thanks, Jen. Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us today. So we're just going to have a chat to the current projects that you're working on, which is the wharf here at Mooloolaba and also what the project that you've got at Foundation Place at Sun Central. But to start here at the wharf, in 2011 you went into business with Matt Evans, and a number of years later you've purchased the wharf for many millions of dollars. What was your motivation? I mean, it was really run down and a bit of a ghost town. Tell me a bit about why you, because this wasn't like all your other projects, it was a bit different. So tell me a little bit about why the wharf.
Yeah, sure, Jen. I think I holidayed here. Matt grew up here. Matt's father and his construction company back in 1988 built the wharf for the then developers. And we came here. I moved up here 8 years ago and I looked at the wharf and it was just such a shame to see what had become of it. So we got the opportunity and we were up in the tower that's up behind us here for a couple of years. Or we had it under due diligence and we just listened to the comments and the underlying desire from us and from the coast was to bring it back. So yeah, it was just an opportunity we couldn't pass up.
Well, congratulations on that, because you've absolutely nailed it. And I was here on Saturday night, as I was saying to you, and it was buzzing. Like, it's got a great feel to it. The restaurants are packed. There's queues to Rice Boy. There's lots of shops. Your tenant mix, like, tell me, that was obviously critical to this project.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, the tourism side had fallen off a little bit. We've got a massive whale watching industry here. People originally used to think of Hervey Bay, but we've got 40,000 people coming here to watch the whales every year. So we had the tourism side. We needed to bolster it with the big mover at the moment is food, and then once you bring foot traffic here, obviously you want to have the fashion outlets and the boutiques and the great old fudge shop that's been here since the day the wharf came. Scuba diving and all those activities, and so we thought long and hard about our tenants mix, but we really wanted to get local adopters of the wharf who had the same passion as we do.
That's fantastic, and I saw last week on the news that you've got another new tenant has gone in. Are there opportunities for, because I hear it's running out, I hear there's not that many left, is that the case?
Yeah, it is. We had Get Fresh came over from Cotton Tree just last Friday and opened up. We've got one tenancy here in our fashion precinct, and there'll be another one becoming available as we move our administration office again. But other than that, there's a big space upstairs that we'll plan to do something with later this year. But yeah, there's not much to go.
Can you tell us about those plans for later in the year?
Oh, look, upstairs there's 800 square metres up there, and we've had all sorts of inquiries over the time, but we really wanted to get ground floor done. So it's up there, it's been stripped out. We'd happily talk to anybody who'd like to look at, a big 800 square metre venue for, we've got an open mind. But it's something now that I'm putting my mind towards.
That's fantastic. So there are opportunities in that larger space and a couple of spaces left here, and people that are interested still in getting in, but they need to be quick. They're going to have to contact you down the track if they want to secure a spot here at the wharf.
Yeah, for sure. We're taking inquiries from anybody. We've got Transact, which is our commercial real estate arm, which they can talk to, or they can get in touch with myself, and happy to talk.
That's fantastic. And just before we move on to your second project, this is obviously you've got to this point with the wharf. What next, though? Are you going to just stop and go and take a deep breath, or are there other plans?
Oh, look, the wharf's one of those things. It's not a static asset. You've got to keep reinventing it. So we've created this Hampton-style pallet, a sort of blank pallet where we've stripped back what used to be like a sticker book with sandwich boards everywhere, and now we're going to introduce some greenery. So we're doing a big landscape plan through the ground floor. We've introduced live music, and we're doing family fun days. So it's an active asset, which we're not used to either. We usually have commercial office space that we've leased or retail space that we've leased, and we're just the landlords. Whereas here, this is a living, breathing asset that we're always looking at ways to reinvent it.
Well, good on you for having a giant leap of faith and backing yourself, but you haven't stopped here. You've gone and done it again since Sun Central, so you're the first developers to dip their toe in the water, and with the announcement last week that you're going into Foundation Place at Sun Central with a 9-storey building. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, we're trying to go where there's major infrastructure, so we did it down at the hospital. I sort of look at the wharf as being the same thing, a big piece of infrastructure that was neglected. And Sun Central's a major piece of infrastructure that the councils had the foresight to bring on. So it was an easy one for us. We sort of saw it as being something we had to be involved in. You're going to be seen as one of the major developers on the Sunshine Coast.
Fantastic. And given that you're going into the smart city, tell me about what smart innovations you're actually doing.
Look, we will be the first private building that's with a 5-star NABERS rating. We're adopting solar. The solar will run all our common area power, and we're just doing some design work yesterday with Evans Built, who'll be building the building for us. And we're looking at the air conditioning system and how that can be run with through the common power and through that solar. Yep, we'll be on site 1st of June, and we'll be finished June next year.
Let's talk about the Sunshine Coast. Why the Sunshine Coast for you? Because you were here as a young fella, you've left, and you've come back. Tell me about the reason why.
I think it comes down to density, but it's also lifestyle. My wife and I just had young children, had the opportunity to go where we wanted to once we got into development. So we moved to go out in the hinterland where we both come from the country originally, but I holidayed here all my life, and I think that's part of it. You want to. You go to Byron Bay and you dream, when you're on holidays, you dream of living there. And so we always came to Mooloolaba from out west where we were, and we always wanted to live here. So when the opportunity arose, I just jumped on it.
So we know there's Australian internal migration coming up to the Sunshine Coast. We've got Sun Central, we've had the hospital, we've got the expanded airport, we've now got the subsea cable going in. People are looking at moving here. What would you say to anyone that maybe is sitting on the edge going, oh, I'm not really sure, it's a regional town, not sure if I should bite the bullet or not? What would you say to them?
Oh, well, I'd say fortune favours the brave, like we've experienced, but I would say don't hesitate, take the leap. Depending what industry you're in, I think there's huge opportunities here in the now and in the future. But you can also tap into other markets here. You don't have to be just involved in the Sunshine Coast market. We've got people like Yui who've run their whole business from here. We've got flights to Sydney now and Melbourne, which are regular. We've got the new airport coming, which is going to make overseas a lot more accessible. So I can see no reason not to be here and enjoy the lifestyle as well as the connectivity.
The subsea cable and the announcement of that has actually positively impacted that?
Oh, it has. I think we noticed a big uptick in that inquiry as soon as that announcement was made, or it was well known within the hierarchy that it was happening. We saw 2 or 3 really significant inquiries come in.
And what sort of companies would they be that are making those sorts of inquiries?
They're technology based. So you get these companies now that it doesn't really matter whether they're doing construction work or they're doing insurance work or but it's more about the platform. We used to look at all the big distributors like Cola, and now the distribution of data is the new distribution company. So they're in those platforms who need this high-speed internet.
And he who has the cable, I guess, attracts them.
Yeah, very true. I never thought I'd be the one talking about technology with my background or experience in it. There'll be plenty of people having a chuckle, but it's a very powerful thing.
Well, congratulations to you and Matt on all that you're doing for the Sunshine Coast and how you're making a difference. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed our first session. Stay tuned for more, and next fortnight we'll be talking to Aussie Souls about their business. So join us there.